Henna, it's a pleasure to have you here.
It's a pleasure to be here.
I think these are all good times, especially for people like you, because we see an emergence of women entrepreneurs, women CEOs, women executives who have broken the glass ceiling long time ago and are now trending the path of success. So one of the things you addressed is to empower women so that they do a lot better than what they have done in the past, regardless of what their career mode is. So I want to learn from you, some of the things you do as a profession and as a company.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to talk about this. Before I started my career in terms of the entrepreneurial career, which was about 2.5 years ago, I had a 20-year corporate career. And I had my MBA from the Wharton School, and then worked for 7 years at Procter & Gamble and 13 at Novartis. And what I found in much of my time there is often I was the only woman in the room at some of the higher levels that I was at. And so right around kind of the age of turning 40, you have that early midlife crisis. I started to think about, after a 20-year career, what did I really want to do when I grew up? And for me, as I thought about my career, I found that the areas that I really loved were when I saw the aha moment, when people really had a greater sense of themselves or felt like they were, growing or learning through the experiences. So for me, it was very important to be able to give back by helping people grow. The other thing I found is that being with my customers and helping them solve their problems was always really fun for me. And so as I conceived of my company, I thought those two components are really important.
One of the things that people are slowly realizing is that regardless whether you work for a startup or you have your own company or you work for a bigger corporation, we always focus on brand building. When we talk about brand building, we talk about the product or the company. But what we forget in the midst of this is you yourself are a walking and talking brand. So you have to focus on your own abilities to enhance them and put it out there for the better use. So let's share some of your experiences on this particular topic.
Yes, absolutely. Personal branding is a topic that I am very, very passionate about. I have workshops and there's a lot of content on my blog about what I call the authentic brand you. And what that is all about is discovering the source of passion and purpose and the spark that really drives you, and then putting that to work in the work that you do. I see, a lot of trends where people are increasingly disengaged in corporate America. If you look at the numbers, you have 70% people that are disengaged in the work that they're doing. And so a critical part of really the work that each of us are accountable for ourselves as leaders is to discover what it is that engages us. And then be very proactive in terms of identifying with our organizations, look, here is what really engages and motivates me. Here is where I can make my biggest contributions in an organization. Here's what I'm inspired to lead and the areas where I'm inspired to make an impact. And once you start to discover that and articulate that within your organization, you both benefit because you can be more successful and fulfilled in the work that you do, but the organization benefits tremendously because you're much more engaged as an employee.
Focusing on employees' own personalities, I think I read this, one of the articles, it adds 10% to up to 30% to the bottom line of a department of a company. Yeah. So how does it changes the same group of people, similar work that they've been doing for years and years, but once you bring in an expert and give them, through this training process, they just change to good leaders or super leaders?
So I think that the process doesn't happen overnight. It's an introspection process that I personally went through myself before I started my company. But the goal is really to identify what drives you, what motivates you, what engages you, what you're really good at. And once you discover what that authentic brand you is, then being able to go to your management and say, well, here are the kinds of jobs that, if you're somebody who loves to build relationships with others, you're probably not going to be great sitting in front of a computer, and you're not going to be highly engaged. You're probably a person who wants to be in situations where where you can impact others and you can build relationships, and importantly, that interaction creates enormous value for the company. So what you want to do is you want to find the intersection of what creates value for you individually and what creates value for the company, and then find that overlap. And that's really where the right career path is for you. And there's, as I said, there's a win-win for both.
One of the challenges for women professionals is that they also play an important role of being a mother and being a supportive spouse. And that gets even more challenging for people from different ethnicities, right? And I'm sure you run into many of these cases. I wanted to ask if you can share some of the anecdotes with us, how you help them overcome these challenges.
Yeah. So, work-life balance or work-life integration is a big buzzword out there. I think with more dual working couples, you have certainly the women who feel very strongly about figuring out how to balance that work and life. And you also have younger millennials where both both spouses, the men and the women in the relationship are concerned about that. In my work, in a lot of the coaching that I do, I take the whole person into account. And a lot of the coaching work that I do, we work on not just the aspects of the leadership that this person wants to improve in terms of how they want to be more effective as a leader, but also some of the things where they're stuck in their personal lives. Because at the end of the day, we're the same person. And as much as we think we can compartmentalize our work and our personal lives, that doesn't happen. Some of the things or areas that we're stuck at in terms of our work lives is some of the same areas that we're stuck at in our personal lives. And so in the coaching work that I do, I really look at the whole person and say, what are some of the issues that you're faced with? And we work to help you develop to be a better leader and a more effective leader, not just in your workplace, but also in your home.
It's a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.